Hello, welcome back. Good morning. So let's have a look at some of these coins. That would just be Bitcoin and Matic we're going to look at. So I'm not a financial advisor and it's not financial advice. Just checking out these charts and seeing if we can map out what's likely to happen in the short and immediate future. So we'll start with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, we've got this descending trend of it's a resistance line, and it's proven to be quite strong, stronger than we thought actually. So we're testing it all the way down 1, 2, 3, and now we're actually buckling under the weight of those this line. Probably quite a bit of selling pressure taking place. We did find, and we're kind of finding support on this 50 EMA, but that it looks like it wants to break, which means that we're going to come down to test this big support box here. Now basically this support area is between 11,200 and 10,950. Anywhere in that box should find some decent support. Obviously the higher the support the better. If it comes deeper down to test it, then it's more likely to break. However, if we get down towards 11,000 we could be looking at a bounce, but if there is a strong sell and the indicators suggest that there's more movement to be had to the downside at the moment, then we're going to come back down to test this area here, which this is actually our 200 EMA, still sloping up actually, so that's a good sign for Bitcoin, but it's also going to be our last stand of support before a big sell-off would occur if that were to break, and that's only if it were to break. We should find bounces on each of these, but depending on how we bounce on them, there should be an indicator of if we're likely to come and test this, and if that breaks then we come all the way back down to test this. Now if we do come back down to test this area here, which is 9,200, that's a really bad sign actually at this point, because it would suggest that this move here was a bit of a fake out move, and coming back down beneath what I believe would be about 10,500, if we come down beneath there, which is about this area here, then that would be almost certainly going to come back down to test this area, and it could even go lower than that. So what we're going to start to see now anyway is what would probably happen is for this to start testing this area now. 11,200, if it starts to go deeper, then towards 11,000, and if that breaks, then 10,750. But this might not all happen today, but it does look as though we've got more movement to the downside to take place just today. Okay, and we'll see how it plays out as a result of these indicators suggesting more movement to the down. It doesn't say how likely it is to move too far down. The volume is still pretty decent, but not enough really to cause any movement to the up, and if there is, then we've got a really strong resistance that's descending here, which should knock it back down again. So not looking too good for Bitcoin, just wait to see how it goes, but like I say, I expect more movement to the down. So let's have a look at where we go with Matic then, as a result of all of this, and generally it seems to be changing its trend, looking like it wants to try and test these areas again. So we've got two levels of support against Bitcoin here. So we've got the first resistance that we need to break, which should hopefully break and then turn to support, would be this blue box here. That is between 142 to 148 satoshis. That's going to be our first level of resistance. If we can break through that, then we're up and away back to our previous most recent high, between 172 to 178 satoshis. Now these two, the first one shouldn't be too hard to break if the momentum is to the up and the indicators suggest that it is to the up. But this second one would be a lot harder, because this coincides not just with our most recent high here, but if we move to, I mean, the Tether and the Bitcoin pairing kind of are mimicking each other obviously at the moment, with Bitcoin staying still. We've got two levels of support on the Tether value. First one, resistance. The first resistance being in this blue box here, that's a level of 1.66 cents to 1.744 cents. Now that is pretty strong resistance area here. But the good news is, if we do break above here, we should, and if we break above it and we hold above it, we should then at that point create this golden cross here. We narrowly missed it on this occasion here, because we came up and it moved this green EMA so close to the 200 EMA, and if it does cross above it, as well as this purple 50 simple, then what we'll get is definitely a golden cross. And as you can see, they're all converging, and actually the 50 and the 50 simple are so close to crossing. And if we continue this move to the up, and it continues like this for the rest of the day and breaks above here and actually stays above there for a couple of days ideally, then we will get that golden cross. That golden cross should help us move up to this area and perhaps maybe above. So the second blue box here, we've got an area of 2, we'll call it 2 cents to 2.07 cents, so more or less just 2 cents really. If we can break above 2 cents, then everything's going to look quite good. The likelihood is, though, if we do get to that area, there'll be a bit of selling pressure because people will be taking their profits, and you can't blame them for that. I mean, it's a profit-making machine, Matic, when it starts to make these moves, and so I don't blame people for cashing out there. It's going to be one of the more obvious places to cash out. However, if it does break above there, then really we are going to be starting to look at some much bigger, and I'm talking much bigger moves, simply because we'll have had our golden cross on the 4 hourly. That will suggest at least another 30% up from that golden cross where that took place. So if that golden cross took place, we're going to have to go up a little bit. So we'll call it if we get the golden cross at around about 1.6 cents. And we move up and away above there. So yeah, we're looking to create a golden cross moving up to 2 cents, and then that golden cross should hopefully stay, because that will be where our price remains up at that area. Now, what will happen when it gets to that point? It's a difficult one to call, because Matic is a very new coin. It's very difficult to make these predictions, but the golden cross would signify a trend moving to the up in general, and then what should happen at that point is this 200 EMA, as well as all the other moving averages, should start to move up alongside with it. Now, so long as the short-term price action is stagnant or moving up and doesn't move down, we should keep that golden cross and avoid a second death cross. But that can happen at the very beginning of a golden cross. You can have a golden cross then take place, and then the next day another death cross. What we really want to see is a strong golden cross. So if we get some decent price action moving us up towards, I'd say 1.7 to 1.8 cent, that should be a strong enough golden cross to continue, so long as we don't have an enormous selling session when we reach this 2 cent mark, which I find that we will have a big sell-off when we get to that area. I mean, really, there's a couple of things to look at. Okay, there's a few things to bear in mind. So first of all, when we look at the volume up here, when we're talking about these guys here, this was enormous volume, absolutely enormous volume to get up here. That big sell at the parabolic top, we're getting close to, it was 1.8 billion was being pumped into Matic at that point. What do we have now at this highest point here? Well, it's not bad. It's almost 700 million, so it's not bad at all. But what we really want to see is a bit more volume in this. Okay, and the likelihood of us reaching this amount of volume again is quite unlikely to happen. That was a phenomenal amount of money pouring into Matic at that point. And even though we have had some good, and we are having relatively good, we're on a quarter billion there. So I mean, it's not bad, but it's not strong enough. When we were up at this area before, what sort of volume were we looking at there? Last time we were at this sort of price action, we were at we were almost at 700 mil and a billion. Yeah, so I mean, our volume is very low in comparison to where it was back there. But at the same time, there are more exchanges that do sell Matic, and also, if Coinbase comes onto the market, then that's certainly going to help a lot. That's all I've really got to say about it at the moment. Indicators suggest more movement to the up. We've got to break above this area. If we break above there, we expect to sell off here, and then when we get that sell off, we've got to hope that this area turns to support. If it does turn to support, we get the golden cross. The golden cross will make us move up another 30% or more from there, so bring us up and above 2 cent, which at that point should, if we get the golden cross on that support there, we're looking at 2.2 cent, 2.3 cent, and that should cause this 2 cent area to become a support. And if that comes a support and we've got a golden cross, then it's just a matter of waiting for this this trend to continue to change and pick up where we left off. We probably won't be seeing any moves like this again, not for a long time, but what we might see is some more healthy sustained growth with Matic, and that's really what we really want. We want healthy sustained growth. We don't want massive big moves all the time. Obviously they are nice, but they're also kind of tempting to sell off, really. I mean, that's basically what happens. The bigger the move, the bigger the sell off, bigger the consolidation. What we want is nice, simple, modest moves, breaking our support resistances each time, creating new supports. So it's very early days, but it's still looking very, very good. Nice high there, lower low here, nice movement to the up. Bitcoin staying still, and yeah, everything's looking pretty tasty for it. So look, all eyes on Matic, and we'll see how we go from here. 2 cent being the big one that we really need to break. Anyway, I hope you have a lovely day. Take it easy. Thanks for watching, subscribing, donating, all of those things. Really appreciate it. And like I said, have a very nice day.